Kansas Moonshot Podcast, where we are shining the spotlight on amazing things in schools across the state of Kansas. Whether you're one of the Mercury or Gemini schools launching some amazing redesign plans, or a teacher just trying to do something a little different, I want to share your story. The goal is to celebrate the awesomeness all around us. In this episode, I interviewed Andrea Paulakovich about an idea she had one night during a Twitter chat and how she is diving in to make it a reality. Check it out. All right, so if we could just start off, if you could just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Andrea Paulakovich, and I am the Assistant Director of Learning Services for the Olathe Public Schools.
Okay, and so the reason why you're on the show is you had this really awesome idea. So explain, what was the idea and what was the story behind prompting the whole thing to get started?
So I am a huge fan of Dave Burgess Consulting and the books that they are producing and putting out there into the world and the message. And so on Monday nights, I am in the Teach Like a Pirate Twitter chat. And there's so many innovative ideas and just empowering educators within that. And one night I was within that chat, and one of the questions was, what's an idea you're really excited about trying out? And so I said, I think it would be awesome to have an Olathe School District podcast. And immediately I started receiving these responses, one of them from you.
Yeah.
And then also a few other educators across the district saying, I'm in, I want to do that. And I was just so excited about it that I decided to create a calendar invite, set up a time for us to get together, and just really start brainstorming and getting excited about how we could empower teachers throughout the Olathe School District.
And really, it was over the course of like 30 minutes. All of a sudden, everybody was jumping on board and ideas were flowing. So that was a really cool way to jump into it. So we just had our first meeting, just kind of see what are the next steps for that. And I just love this idea of diving right into this. So you dove in to this idea, and you talked a little bit about what that was like diving in without a plan in place.
Very hard for me. Anybody that knows me knows that I typically plan things out a year in advance. As I said in tonight's meeting, I like to pre-package everything, tie it with a bow, make it perfect. And so it was really uncomfortable for me to come into the meeting tonight and, have a plan, but be willing to veer from that plan. And I think there's a lot of power in that, of saying, I think I know how I want this to play out, but then getting together with a team of passionate educators and saying, here are my ideas, but what are our ideas? And so just having the opportunity to hear, the great ideas from the people in the room tonight was really empowering to me.
So, yeah, and I really like that everybody kind of dove in, and it was a little uncomfortable trying to come up with a plan and not have a plan in place, but I think that great ideas can come from that. So I'm really looking forward to see what direction it goes moving forward. So if you were talking to an educator right now who was thinking, I may want to try something, I had this idea last night and I just don't know if I should do it, what could you say to encourage them to try something and dive right in?
I would think, first of all, if you have not read Tara Martin's Be Real book, I think she talks about cannonballing in. So, don't be afraid. Just go to the end of the diving board, close your eyes, jump in, and just watch and see the huge splash that you can make. I just love that analogy that she tells in her book because it's so true. We can spend our whole life standing on the end of the diving board and saying, I think I want to do it, but what if people are looking at me? What if I do it wrong? And instead just saying, just jump. And so that would be my advice, is quit worrying about what everyone else thinks or trying to be perfect, because you could spend your whole life trying to be perfect, or you could just choose to cannonball in.
And on that note, I would also like to point out that this is the third attempt at this recording, because we had technical difficulties and trying to get different microphones to work. And so this podcast is all about that as well, just diving right into something and figuring things out as you go, and realizing that there are people around you who will support you and will be there, your biggest cheerleader, helping you out. And so I would also encourage you to find those people who can help build you up and keep you moving forward. So anything else to add to this? What is the Olathe hashtag if people want to follow along with what some of the cool things Olathe is doing?
So this year and moving forward, it's going to be hashtag Big 3, so BIG and the number 3. We actually have some PD challenges that are coming out in our district newsletter every 2 weeks with the hashtag Big 3 Challenge 1, Big 3 Challenge 2, and they're all tied to student engagement, ensuring that we're just using instructional practices that will help empower our students and just have a growth mindset in their own learning.
So backing up just a step, people who aren't familiar with the Big 3, could you explain that just a little bit? What is the Big 3?
So Dr. Yeager, our Assistant Superintendent of Learning Services, wanted to really have, this hashtag of Big 3 to kind of talk about what's really important and what's the focus that we can have as a district to help move us forward. And there's really 3 things that research tells us, and also, that our district is telling us that we need, and that's student engagement, professional learning communities, and then, beginning with standards first when we're planning, using that backward design. So that's kind of the focus of the Big 3.
And really, what I like about the Big 3 is it narrows the focus down to 3 main things, because if you go too far beyond a Big 3 goal, you're just doing too much. And there's research that shows that anything beyond 3 goals, you're gonna get poor results. I think it's something like if you do more than 7, you're gonna get 0 results done. So keeping it limited to those 3 main huge goals that you're gonna work towards is just a great way to focus. So I would encourage all of you also to, if you're trying to decide what you want to do moving forward, try to narrow it down and hone in on what is going to have the biggest, greatest impact for the people you're involved with, people you're working with. So on that note, thank you for being a guest on the show. And that's it.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode. For more information about this episode, check out my website, MrStockRocks.com. If you know someone doing something awesome in their classroom, let me know about it. Or if you're doing something awesome in your classroom, again, let me know about it. I'd love to have new guests onto the show. You can email me at teachlikeaninja@gmail.com or follow me on Twitter at teachlikeaninja. I've been your host, Josh Stock, 6th grade language arts teacher and self-proclaimed awesomeness expert. Until next time, book it forward and be awesome.